Hello, and welcome to another episode of Healing Art After Hours, where I upload videos of live Zoom creative workshops from my Healing Art Happy Hour meetups. I'm Shauna Robeson from Creating Space Coastal, and in today's video, I will introduce some easy ways to turn any artwork into digital and/or paper greeting cards. Handouts for the introduction to this topic are available for download at my shop at creatingspacecoastal.com. And as always, happy creating! I'm not going. We have been busy making art. So now what? Now many of you have been with me and been creating things. And maybe some of you have no interest in creating greeting cards. But you're here, so I feel like maybe you have some interest. But you might have created all this art and then you don't know what to do with it. And the first thing that I want to talk about is how to take the art that you've already created, and it doesn't matter what size the art is, in this method, and create either a digital or paper greeting card. So it might be something that you want to send out for the holidays, for example, since we are getting into the holiday season for some people. So I'm going to demonstrate tonight some ways to do that and little tips and tools because I do a lot of greeting cards with my art because I like it to be functional. So let's get started. So here's an example of a watercolor that I did. This was for last year's holiday, and I like it more seasonal. And so I created this watercolor, and then I was able to create a digital card for all of those people that I don't have addresses for. And also I could post it on social media, etc. And then I also created a paper card for my the great uncles and the people that aren't on social media or don't have aren't on the computer or anything like that. So the same artwork I created a digital card and paper card for, and that's what I'm going to show you how to do tonight. And why do digital versus paper or vice versa? So digital is nice because it's easy to create. It's easy to send digitally, obviously. And many people move a lot and we don't know what their address is right now. So every holiday season, I would send out cards once a year pretty much. And I would make 100 cards and I would make 100 unique cards at times, but we don't always have time for that. So if you're going to paint 100 cards or 50 cards or however many people you have, that's a lot of work, and that's fine if you have the time. But if you don't have the time, you can make one art and then you can send it to everybody, and you can customize it in some ways for individuals, but it just makes it a lot easier. And I found that when I did all the individual cards, I'd send them out for the holiday season, and then I'd get like a dozen back that the addresses had changed. So people that I didn't stay in touch with throughout the year, I still wanted to be able to send them like once a year, connect with them. But I didn't always know what was going on in their life and if they moved. So digital is nice because I could send it through Facebook Messenger. Maybe I'm just a Facebook friend. I don't even have their email address or phone number. I might just be a Facebook friend. So this is a way you can send it out to more people. You can post it on social media. It's eco-friendly, so it doesn't kill any trees or take up any space or clutter people's homes. So there's definitely a benefit to having the digital option. Paper, of course, is more personal, it shows a little extra effort. So some people who might be a little bit more sentimental treasure the physical greeting card, and that's really important to them, especially the older generation. And they may not even be part of the digital at all, but so that's always a nice option for that. Also in the holiday season, I love to put holiday cards up around my house, and that's pretty much most of my decoration that I have. So if you want to help people decorate their homes in the holiday season or for their birthday or whatever, it's nice to have the cards up, and that's one of the nice things about the paper card. And then I know a lot of my friends will even cut the art out, because what I try not to do is put words on top of the art if I'm sending a paper card, and that way they can trim it and they can frame it and have artwork. So I have had friends who've done that too, friends and family that have framed it. They can see it more often. Maybe they can save it in a scrapbook. They'll, look at it if it's up on a shelf or somewhere. People aren't online, as I mentioned before. And then if you're going to be going somewhere for the holiday and you're bringing a gift, then it's nice to have a paper card to go with that. So those are some reasons you might choose one or the other. This is again, I'm going to first talk about creating digital because that's the easiest thing to do. So if you just have a smartphone, you can do as simple, and I'm going to walk through some of these processes after I'm done going through this, but these notes can help you if you do purchase the notes online, they can help you walk through the process. And then I'm going to demonstrate the process after. So the first thing, of course, you create art. So that's the first step. It's important. Once you have some artwork, this was a drawing that I did, and I left space here at the bottom for a greeting. But the nice thing about having a digital is I can change that greeting for everybody. I can say Happy Father's Day. I can say Happy Birthday, Chris. I can say, Happy Quinceañera, whatever it is. I can change up the greeting very easily and use it for multiple things. So the second part is to just take a photo with your camera. Now, it's important to have good lighting because you want the colors to be vibrant. So I love to have natural lighting. I like to take pictures during the day in the sunlight to have some natural lighting. And that also reduces the shadows because the sun, of course, is a big light source. So you don't want the sun to be directly behind you so you get a shadow on it. So just make sure that you're not blocking the sunlight. You're getting a good angle where you're not creating a shadow over your artwork. But of course, you're going to get that more vibrant natural light colors if you're using a natural light. You can also get that effect with the ring lights. Now they have the ring lights that actually you can adjust if you want a warmer light or a cooler light or brighter or less light. You can get a ring light. And the thing that's cool about that is that you can actually take the picture from above or sometimes they have a mount, but the ring puts the light around so that you can take a picture between the light and then you're not blocking any of the getting shadows or anything like that. So you can, try that if you have one of those, and they're pretty cheap nowadays with technology advances. Then pretty much every smartphone has a setting for editing. And you really just need to do some basic editing. You can do more if you want. Some of them can change the color tone, brightness. You can do, all sorts of fancy effects. But the basics that you need to do is pretty much crop it. So for example, this is the photo that I took of this artwork. And all I wanted to do is trim off all this black because I didn't have it perfectly straight. I had it kind of at an angle. So you can see this black is not perfectly symmetrical around it. So I just went in and trimmed it to the point where none of the black was showing. And it's an even rectangle now, and you can't really tell that it was wonky. So basically crop it. And then the next step is just to add some words. And there's usually a little text button. And again, I'm going to walk you through this when we're done, for those of you who have never done that, but it's pretty easy to do. And then once you have your text, you can send it. You save it as, the edited version. It'll keep your original version too, but you save the edited version and then it's ready to go and you can send it right away. So easy peasy. You can tell that this coloring, maybe this is a little bit yellowish compared to maybe a scanned photo, but no one that's going to get this is going to be like, that looks like a quick photo on a smartphone. They're going to look at that and go, wow, they created that for me. Or they might not know that you created it for them. You might have to tell them because they might go, oh, professional card. So anyway, it's really easy to do. Okay. The next one, which you can get a little bit higher quality and a little bit more flexibility and do more fun things with. And there are probably apps you can do more funky things on the phone with too. So but I don't have the fancy app. So there's probably other ways you can do it with the phone, but with the computer, I can use a scanner and you can get a little bit better quality of the picture itself with that, I think personally, than with doing the photo from the smartphone. And so you basically just create the art, same step, scan the art to the computer if you have this flatbed scanner. And nowadays they're so cheap, the multi scanners. If you don't have one, you can go down to Office Max or Office Depot. I don't know, one of them closed, I think, or any of those office stores like a FedEx store, and any place that does scanning or photocopying, and you can actually get it scanned to a digital file there. So it's a little extra steps, but you get a good quality photo that way. Then you can just use a Microsoft Word document or whatever Word document type software you have, and edit it that way. And again, I'm going to walk you through those steps. But when you put it on the Word document, the neat thing about that is that you can adjust it to any size you want. When you print from a photo software, you get limited options because they want to make it certain sizes. But when I put it on a Word document, I can play around with it, manipulate it, add words, and there's a lot of power that I can do on the Word or other editing software with photos. So I basically put it on the Word document. Once I scan it in, I can go in and put it in on the Word document and adjust the size or do whatever I want, make all my edits. And then I can turn all of those edits into a photo file by using my snipping tool, which I'm going to also demonstrate. So you just basically pick what you want to turn into a photo file, and you do the snipping tool, you copy that, and then you can save it as a photo. And then once you have that photo file, you can actually use a Word document template like that I created, and I'll show you that in a minute, to print it out. You can do like a 2-up on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock. So then you get 2 cards for 1 sheet of cardstock. So you can create these color backgrounds on Word. You can use lots of different fonts. You can take one design and change it up and make several different types of cards. So it's a little bit more futzy than doing it on the smartphone, but I think it gives you a lot more power of what you can create with it, unless you had a fancy phone app. And then the next step is creating the paper. So this again is a digital file, which can then be taken and converted to a paper as well. So now I'm going to step through the paper version. Again, you're going to, of course, create the art. And then once you have the photo image, however you get it, whether you scan it in or you make it with the Word document or even take it on your smartphone, you can take that image, whatever it is, and place it into this template that I've created. And this is all, this is part of the packet for the greeting cards that I have for sale online. So if you want it to be a portrait, the portrait direction, then you would use this template. And then I also have a landscape version, but I have in there where you can just change the words, you can change the font, and you can put the image there. And then you remove these guides, which I'll show all of this in a minute, and then you can print it. Now, just be aware that printers print differently. Some of them feed in and print bottom to top, and you might have a setting that flips it on the long edge or on the short edge. So depending on your settings, depending on your printer, it may print a little bit differently. You may have to massage it a little bit to work with what you have or your settings, or change some settings. So be aware of that. if you do get the template that I've created, which I just used, I created this template out of using a table in Word. And I was just able to make sure that I created the table where inside those pieces, it's going to be centered. So it's going to be at the right location when I do the printing. So make sure if you use the template to save it as a new file so that you're not editing the original template. So you keep that template blank. And then you can start to make your edits on there. You can write your own sentiments in there. You drop your artwork in, and then of course your credits on the back, you want to say artwork by, or if you just colored something, you could say colored by, whatever that is. And then put the date that you did it if you want that information on there, and make the table lines invisible, which I'm going to show how to do that before you print. Otherwise, and I've done this, I printed it and it has all these guidelines on there that, you know, are not part of what you want. So don't do that on cardstock because it wastes your cardstock. And then do a test print on just normal paper, just to make sure that the words are where you want them, the pictures where you want them, everything looks good, and then you're good to go before you do your, 100 cards and realize you've left the guidelines on there. And then this is what it would look like if I had it set up. So I have my artwork here, I've got my credits here, and the inside of the card is here, and those can all be edited. So when it prints it, it's going to get them all in the right spot. All right. So that's pretty much, that one went a lot faster, but I'm going to be demonstrating those too. So that's going to take a little bit more time. But those are basically the steps to doing a digital or paper card from your artwork. It's really easy to do. It's a great way to just personalize your greetings, whether it's for birthday or holidays, and or any special occasion. And you only have to make one artwork to be able to share with many people. So with the paper cards, of course, you have to do the cuts as well. So that's some extra steps, and you have to do the mailing. And so if you're trying to be more personalized, that's a great way to add to it without making every single card unique. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing that screen so I can walk you through some of these steps here. And then I'm going to share. Okay. Oh, I don't think that's what I want to read. It's not what I'm trying to show. Let's get what I want up there. Student driver. Okay. I keep saying that, and I've been doing it for a long time, so probably not buying it, but okay. These are just some examples of some artwork that I've done that I've created into cards using that technique of scanning. These are watercolors. So this is the landscape direction, and then this is the portrait direction. And usually I leave if it's kind of a generic artwork, I leave the inside blank. I don't put a sentiment in there unless it's for a specific thing. That way I can either stamp or I can write it in later. So if I'm making them ahead of time just from artwork and I don't know what I'm going to use them for, leave it blank, and you can always add a sentiment later just by through hand or stamps. And then these ones are actually acrylic paints, and they were bigger in size, and all I did was scan them. I went to one of the professional scan places because they have a bigger scanner than what I have. So if you have bigger artwork, you may have to go to maybe a professional, like an Office Max or something where they have bigger scan space on their scanner. And this is the original of that one picture that I have in there. And I just did a color, or just did a drawing and color on cardstock. So I can still use the actual physical card that I originally made, but I can just keep using that digital card too for all sorts of different purposes, because it's a pretty general. All right, we'll talk about other ways of creating cards later, but that's what I want to show before we start. Now here's an example of on the presentation, I showed you that printout, what it would look like before you print it out. So this is the one page. It has the credits that'll end up on the back. It has the front page, and then when I open it up, this is going to be cut here. When I open it up, my sentiment is there. So, and then I just cut that, and I have 2 cards for each page of cardstock. Now I use the same cardstock I use for everything, which is the Neenah Solar White. I think it's 80-pound cardstock, and I'm very happy with that. And the neat thing about that weight, sometimes printers can get fussy with the thickness of the paper. So it's thin enough that it can print pretty easily. You probably don't want to go above 100-pound cardstock, because then it might not print. So just be aware that the thicker the cardstock, the more difficult it might be to print. Okay, now let me find out where my phone is, and I'll be right back to demonstrate. Where is that? Okay. Okay, so I'm going to just use something that I painted recently, a watercolor. Now this is kind of curled a little bit as watercolor, so I'm going to run it on the edge of the table to try to straighten it, because I want it to be as flat as possible to print it, but it's not going to show up. It won't show up too much once I do all the trimming. Okay. And I'm going to turn down my brightness of my light, because I feel like it's really, oh, I'm going higher. Okay, there. That's a little better. And then I'm just gonna put my camera on. Now in this case, I'm going to use my ring, because if I tried to take a picture, I don't know if you can see, but there's, if you look at the artwork, there's shadows from the phone, because the light that I have is just a lamp. It's not a ring light. So I'm going to demonstrate it by using this ring light so you can see how that works. And I'm going to turn the other light off for now. Okay. So basically I can adjust the ring light. The ring lights usually have adjustments of warmth as well as brightness. Take down my brightness a little bit, because it's washing out my colors, and I don't want to do that. So there we go. And I can even change the warmth. See how that's more golden and that's more cool. So I can adjust it with that. Okay. Now I just put it in photo mode. And I'm gonna bring my camera in between the ring. Now I'm getting a reflection on the black because the black's kind of plastic. So I might pick something different as a backdrop of it, but that's gonna be cropped off anyway. So I'm not worried about it too much. All right, I got my picture. Now I can see it on my phone and then I can edit it. I hit the little edit button right there. And immediately it goes to cropping. So I can get rid of all of that black. I can go all the way to a little past the white, just so I don't have any black showing. Just by dragging it in. There. Now I've pretty much eliminated, let me get my camera's not wanting to focus too much, but you get the idea, I think, still. All right, now that also has this little button here that says that shows a T. And I can pick whatever color I want for the text. So I can either pick something that matches the colors in there. So I could try, right now it's set at orange with the fall colors, and I can see how that. And then it's a gradient. I don't know that I want a gradient. I'm picking some different fonts. Just by touching this, it's changing my fonts. And it gives me a demonstration of what that is. Now, of course, your phone is going to be different. So it's going to be a little bit different of what you see, but they're all fairly similar. Okay. Then I'm going to type, let's see, happy Thanksgiving. And if I like the size and the color, I can leave it there. I can play around with some different colors. That's brighter. I like that. So I'm gonna say done. And then I can actually move it around and see if I find a better place for it. It's kind of disappeared now. So I think I have to change the color. Maybe I'll just have it black. Done. And then I'm going to move that around and see if that shows up better. Sometimes, let's see, I think, and I don't know if this one has a fill. But sometimes if you have a fill, you can make the background of your box have a color, so that way it doesn't compete with the colors that are in there. I'm drawing and I don't want any. Okay, let me get out of this tool. Let me just go back to this one. Okay.
Shona, is that a program to write that caption? Because I just edited my photo on my iPhone and I don't know how you put that stuff in there.
Oh, okay. I'll start it again. So let's say I'm happy with that. I'm gonna show you how I got to this. I'm just gonna say done. Happy Thanksgiving. Looks good. Okay, now I'm gonna save. Now on my phone, all I did was go into my gallery. So I went into my gallery. So this is just where I view my photos. And automatically it starts showing me editing options in my gallery. So if you go to look at your photo, do you see any options? Maybe it might be up you know, you might have to click on something to get to editing, but most phones, I think, have just by default some kind of basic editing. Did you find anything, Sri? This is, I'm gonna look at see, because that's the gallery view, and gallery is an app that I had already. Let me just see if there's a photo.
On the iPhone, then
There's-
when you open a photograph on the top right, it'll say edit.
There you go.
When you click
I
on
get-
edit, then there
Yeah,
will
I
be,
get changing the sharpness and the tint and all that, but I don't see any place where I can do the text.
there will be 3 dots in the top right once you're in edit.
Yeah, see, this one is an Android, so I can't really see. This is all of mine show up right there. My text doesn't show up until I hit the little edit icon, which is a little pencil.
On the
So
iPhone, in the
this is
top,
actually
once you have your
pencil.
photo open, then there are 3 dots in the top right. When you hit the 3 dots, then something will open and it'll say markup, and you have to hit markup.
Right.
And then you will get a bar across the bottom with colors and pencils, and there's a plus sign. Hit the plus sign and it will say text.
Well, that's a little more.
Got it. Did not know that.
Thank you for explaining that, because that's a little more, this one's a little bit more intuitive. You just.
No problem.
And I don't know iPhones, so this one, this is the Android, and it has a little bit of a pencil icon. This is just looking at the photo. It has a pencil icon. When you click on that, that's the edit, and then it brings up some more choices. So that's how you do it on using the gallery view. But again, different. This is an older Android, and I don't know if they, you know, the new apps are different, but you can, there's a lot of different edit things you can do. Like if I want to change the brightness of it, I can do, maybe I want it a little bit, you know, darker. Maybe it was washed out from the lighting. So you can play around with whatever your edit settings are. But it's then once I save that, that's ready to go. And I can send it out as a card. Oops.
Thank you to the person that mentioned how to do it on the phone. It seems like you can only draw it though, or draw text with a pencil, and I don't see any way to just make letters.
The text usually shows up as a T. That in this case, for the Android one, the pencil is just an edit icon. It's not actually the writing. It's because that actually is a paintbrush. But
To the right of all the pencils and the colored dots, there's a plus sign. When you hit the plus sign, you get a pop-up, and the first option is text. And you hit text, and you get a tiny little text box. And then you have to click on the text box, and then it says edit. And when you hit edit, then you will get your keyboard, and then you can type in your text.
all right, I'm actually gonna go see if I can steal my boyfriend's phone, because he has an iPhone, and see if I can show it, walk you through it visually. Because that
That'd
might
be great, because yeah, I got the text
let me see if I can.
and I can't see anywhere where there's no keyboard coming up, so I'm missing
When
something
you
here.
touch the word text in the text box,
Yeah.
and then a keyboard should pop up.
Try double tapping it.
It depends how your phone is set, exactly.
It might be different. Well, my phone's upstairs, so I'm actually using my iPad, which might be,
And the iPad works exactly the same.
I can't, yeah, I'm getting this thing that says text. I'm hitting it.
I'm gonna see if I can figure this out. He's got an iPhone, so I'm clicking on the photo, and this is just a photo of us. And then I'm hitting editor. This one has, now his is in Spanish. So I forgot about that. So I may not know what it says, but editor. And then it brings up some things to choose.
Mine doesn't look like that.
So in the top right, there are 3 dots.
Oh, see the 3 dots on this one.
Yeah, ours is different from his. He has a special phone.
Yeah, so maybe that's not gonna help. So that's the one thing is that they, all the phones are a little bit,
Hey, I just did it. Don't ask me how I did it, but I just did it.
Hooray.
this one I can flip. This one I can, I see the crop, but, oh, I don't even know which, I'm not even sure which, oh, this is a photos app. So that's one of the challenges is I guess you'll have to figure out, chances are they're going to have that option. Because those are the common things that they allow you to do, but you may have to do a little digging to see how to do it on your phone because it may not
If you
be,
just Google add text to photos
yeah. And-
on iPad, then you'll find directions.
Right, and if you write, oh, here, like, for example, I clicked on something and now there's a bunch of things that came up. So, yeah, click on whatever editor you're looking at. When you look at the app on your phone that shows you photos, say, do a Google search and say, add text to using that app. And hopefully it'll walk you through because I thought it would be more intuitive on all of them, but some of them it's not as easy. So here's Texto. So yeah, I found text. They're there. It's going to be there. I was able to find it. I'm not sure how. so
What I said.
exactly. It's like, okay, let me see how I got there because if you have this photo editor, did I say Listo? That's
Now
right.
I just want to move it down, reposition it on the screen.
I think if you just touch it, it'll allow you to move it. That's how mine is.
Oh, let's see. Okay.
Let's see. So there's crop.
It just drew me a couple lines. Red.
Oh, here for this app, it's got a little icon up here at the top that looks like maybe that's an A. It's too small, I can't tell, but it's up at the right. And I think that brings up all the drawing tools. And if I say plus, it brings up more. And that brings up text. But see, once I get some text in there, so I'm going to edit the text. Okay. And then I'm gonna, if I touch it, I think I should, oh, maybe not. Usually, like, well, not usually, for mine, you could grab it and move it after you saved the text, but this one, it's not doing that. So, okay, on some phones, it's not as intuitive or as easy, but they all are capable of doing it. I'm pretty sure. So just do a little, you might have to do a little research to figure it out, but that way you can also take photos, just photos that you take and turn them into greeting cards. Landscape photos, anything. So it's pretty easy once you figure out your app. Mine's very easy and very intuitive. So, and I mean, I don't know Apple. I don't know the Apple apps at all. So I showed you that one. Okay. Any other questions on that besides how to work your app? Because I don't know if I can. Technology, it's a blessing and a curse. All right. Now, at this point, I've taken a picture of that. It's on my phone, just solid. And I have an auto backup that goes to my computer. So if I wanted to make this, turn this into a paper file, a paper card, I can go to that file if you have a backup that goes to your computer. If you don't, you could do the scanner. And what I do, and I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing this so I can get back onto my computer. What I do is I'll take all these little art pieces and I'll scan them all together. So I'll put several on the plate at a time. And then I can crop them down from the file. So let me go ahead and get that. Let me get that open real quick. Okay. So for example, I think, oh yeah, so let me get my screen shared again. Okay. So hopefully you guys see some trees up on the screen. These, I just scanned all of these at the same time. And now I can go in and use the editing software here. And this is the crop symbol. So you'll usually see a symbol like this on every editing. So I can just crop it. And to crop, I can just drag. If you drag the corner and just bring it up, it'll adjust that whole section. It'll adjust both sides of the side. If you go to the side and move it, it's just doing that one side. So I can adjust it that way. I can adjust two sides at the same time at the corner. So for this way, see how I'm adjusting the height and the width at the same time. So if you grab the corner, that's usually how it's going to crop. And if you just do the side, it's just going to move that one width. So you can really fine tune it. Okay, so now I have this cropped down. I have a little bit of a border, which I like. And now I'm going to save a copy. And hopefully it'll let me see where it is. Okay, so I'm going to save this to wherever you want it to be. I'm going to save it in greeting cards. I'm going to be using it. Okay. Now I can open up my template. And that one is a, let me make sure I'm opening up the right one. I think that one is, okay, yeah, that one is a portrait. And what I mean by portrait is it's tall, it's a tall picture. So that's the one, this is the template I want to use. Now this template is very, you can change everything on this template. So if you do download this template, just be aware, you can make every kind of edit you need to. You can adjust it in any way you want. It's just a guide. So at this point, I have my Word document open. I can take that photo that I just saved, the image. I can find it right here. And I can copy it And I can take it over and paste it. You can drag it over too, but I'm just gonna paste it over into. It's not what I wanted. I don't know what it just pasted. Let's try that again. Thought I pasted it. Okay. Let's try it this way. I'm just going to drag it over. So I take this photo. I'm just dragging it onto my art, my project. Okay. Now the image behind it, let me move this. If you're having trouble moving it, let's say you want to move the image you just set down, because it defaults to, it kind of locks it into place sometimes. So if you want to move this to your heart's content, you may have to adjust the anchoring. I don't know how to really explain that any better, but if I want to move this to somewhere else, well, I don't want to do that. Let's try it here. So when I move it, usually a little screen pops up, which is not popping up because I'm trying to tell you. But I want to get rid of, okay, here, this little layout option pops up, and you can change where that goes, because sometimes it'll lock it somewhere relative to other things. So if you want to put it anywhere you want, you just have to make sure it's one of these two. It's be either in front of text or behind text. Otherwise, if there's text there, it'll try to anchor it at a certain position related to the text. So if you do it one of these two, it'll allow you to move it anywhere. So just be aware of that. I want it to be behind text, so I'm just going to say that. But this is actually just a placeholder. This where I had that image. So I don't even want. Oh.
And this is a Word. This is a Word program that you're using.
Yeah, this is Word.
And the images that you had saved, all your art, was that just in a photo program, or what was that in?
That was just a scan. So I scanned a JPEG of those little artwork. So I just took.
Right. I was just curious what program all that artwork was. What you keep your artwork in?
Well, it's not. Oh. Those are just files. Those are just file folders. So I just basically, from my scanner, I can select what type of file it is. So let me get back to where I had that so I can show you. So this is just a folder that I keep all of my art stuff in, and then I have it organized by what type of art it is. So I have a watercolor folder, and when I scanned it in, it creates a folder of the date that I scan it. So I happen to know that I had this folder that's scanned in. But these are a JPEG. So this is actually a picture of the scan that came from the computer. So the software is really the scan utility from the printer. If that's, I don't know if I'm answering your question or not, but these are just a JPEG, a picture of the scan from the printer.
Mm. Thank you.
And because I scanned several pieces of art at one time, that's why there's multiple. You could do one at a time and it'll just show one, and then you can crop it down. But I just scan several at a time, and then I can crop it each individual image later, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Does that answer the question? Okay. Okay. I hope I covered. If I don't, please let me know. If I'm not being clear or if I'm answering the wrong question. Okay. So back to this little fun. Okay, so this was just a placeholder. I'm going to delete that. I don't need that. It was just said image, just showed me where I want the image. So I want to move this guy. Why is this not? Sorry, I'm trying to make it look easy and I'm not, but okay. See how this is popping up? It's wanting to lock this in certain placements, and I don't want it to lock it in. I want to put it wherever I want. So I'm going to go ahead and say behind text, and that allows me to move this anywhere on the page I want. And if there's text there, it's going to go behind it because I selected behind text. But that just allows me to move it to my heart's content without it trying to anchor in a certain position. That's supposed to help you, but sometimes it doesn't help. And maybe I want to make it a little bigger. If it fits in that, as long as it fits in that square, then it's fine. I need whatever image to fit inside this space in order for all of my sizes to be right. So I'm going to make it as big as I can. And then I'm going to adjust it so that it's even, as even as possible on all edges. It may not be perfect because it does have incremental locks, but okay, so that looks pretty good. Again, this is just a placeholder, so I can delete that image here, block. Doesn't need to be there. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to Control C for copy. You can also right click and get choices. So I can copy here just by right clicking over the picture. I'm going to then paste. I can right click and then I can hit paste. I'll do it that way so you can see what I'm doing. And I have a choice of making it a photo or keep the source formatting. I'm going to keep the source formatting because sometimes it changes things the way that I don't want. It pops up this layout option. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing I did before. Behind text, so I can move this wherever I want it. And because I already edited the size of it a little bit on the other one, it maintains that size. So now I've got my artwork. I can go in here. I'm gonna bring this up a little bit. I can say artwork by, and you know what I didn't do is I didn't go in here and save as. So now all my changes are going to be in this file name. So now I'm going to do that now. Save a copy, exactly what I told you to do. And I'm going to say fall trees, 2021 fall trees. Maybe this will be a good Thanksgiving card. Okay. And it's in my greeting cards. Okay, perfect. And that's the reason that you want to change it. Mine, back in the old days, they didn't have the auto save feature. So you could change it at any point and it didn't save it. But now it auto saves as you're going along. So if you don't change the name of the file of your template first, then you're editing the template. So I'll have to go back and revamp that, but that's okay. Okay, so your name, I'm just going to change the name. I can change the font if I want. The date created, it was, I'm just going to say 2020, November 2021. I mean, October 2021. I don't remember exactly. And then I can go in here and say, I don't really like that font. So I can, and I'm going to lock my editing bar in, but I can go in and change the font to anything I want. So maybe I want it to be something that's a little easier to see, or a little bolder, or whatever it is. And this particular word is showing me what it looks like. So I can kind of get a sample, but I can change the font. And then I can just copy all of what I just did. And I can paste it into the next one. And it's going to be exactly the same. And then I can go in here and I can write whatever sentiment. Okay. Thankful for your friendship. Okay, and then I can center that. Now, obviously, if you're not familiar with using any editing software, this is going to be a lot trickier to do. I'm showing you how to utilize Word to create it, but if you don't know Word, trying to do this is going to be a little bit more challenging. And like I said, the phone is just cut and dry and easy, but this can give you a lot of options when you want to create your art as greeting cards. So, okay, so thankful for your friendship. And then the last thing you have to do before you print, you kind of visually look at it. It looks good. I'm going to select everything by selecting this little plus sign in the corner that selects the whole table. And what I want to do is basically make the table lines disappear because those are only guidelines. I don't need them there, but I want you guys to see where those are so you know where you're putting stuff because you want to use those as a guide. So I'm going to say no borders. So it basically takes all those lines and disappear. The lines are still there. There's still guidelines there. So if you move if you tab over, it's going to follow within those squares, but you don't see them. So before you print, make sure you delete those. Okay, now I'm going to do a test print on normal paper. Make sure that it gets everything in the right spot because, like I said, printers do different things and also your settings can impact it. Let me go back and show my settings. I have print on both sides, flip the pages on the long edge. So if you have this template that I have and you say flip it on the short edge, you're going to get a very different layout. If your printer prints maybe the back first or whatever, and you know, maybe when it feeds it back in, it prints on a different rotation. You just have to see how your printer behaves. But that's my settings for this particular printer. And I have, and it works. So hopefully we'll find out. Trust me, I've made my mistakes. Okay. So now this is not a photo quality. This is a color laser and I have some weird ink. So it's not the best quality. But you can also go to Office Max if your printer's not great. In the past, I've used a more photo quality. Let me go ahead and switch to my camera real quick so I can show you what this looks like. Let's stop. I bought some of the cheap toners, and I have to say I'm not thrilled with them. So there we go. Okay. So you can see that I have my artwork. It's looking very faded. Let me bring this brightness down, see if I can make it so you can see it. There we go. Okay. So I have 2 cards. And then if I fold it over this way, and for this, I would use a paper trimmer as opposed to scissors. But if all you have is scissors, you could do that. Just make sure you mark the center of it. And I'm going to take my paper trimmer. And I know, and this should be, if I aligned all my template correctly, it should be, if I cut it right at the halfway point, which would be, because it's half of 11, right? 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. So I would cut it at 5.5 inches, and it should be the right alignment. So that's 5.5. Measure twice, cut once. And then I have 2 cards artwork. And I open it up and my print's on. I've done it where the print's over here or it's upside down, or whatever. So now you can adjust where this is. I like to leave space for a little note afterwards. So I have it a little higher, but if you want to put, more on the top or whatever, you can adjust, where that is in that block. So there is a paper version of that. Now you can see this printer didn't do a great job of getting those colors, but again, I have cheap generic toner, which is a fraction of the cost. So for most of what I do is okay, but it's not great for making my cards. So I'm a little disappointed about that. Here's an example of when I didn't take off the guidelines and I printed on this quality cardstock. But then I also realized I didn't take off the guidelines. And then I realized also, because I'm using a different printer, that here's where it's on the wrong side and upside down. So this had every problem. And that's what can happen, especially when you're using a different printer than when you created the template, which is what I did. So anyway, okay, so that's paper. So I think I've pretty much covered everything.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of Healing Art After Hours. You can download materials related to this topic, including PDF notes of PowerPoint presentations, at creatingspacecoastal.com. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you found this content helpful, and join me for the next video here at my Creating Space Coastal channel, where I hope to inspire you to create space in your life for fun. Thank you.